Right, everybody. Welcome to the webinar today. Thanks for coming. I know it's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff going on right now. So I, obviously appreciate you taking your time. I think this is really, really important stuff. I'm gonna show my screen. You guys should be seeing my screen now. Let me know if you can hear me. Just pop a yay or nay in the question box if you a yes or no. And Frank DiBenedetto is here with me. Frank, thanks for coming. I know you're busy too.
We are, but happy to be here and glad you're safe and looking forward to discussing some really important content today.
Yeah. So we're going to dig right into it. I don't know if this is going to be an hour. We'll certainly, I will stick around. I know Frank, as an MSP, Frank's an active MSP. So, if something comes up and he has to dive off on the hour, he will do that, and I'll carry on answering questions. I'm here for you guys through this, so I want to make sure you all know that right up front. If you need anything, even if you just need to talk to somebody, because this is crazy what's going on. This is like unprecedented. People don't know what to do. They're not sure what's going to happen, what's happening, and sometimes it's we just need to talk to somebody. So I'm always here for you guys, even if you just want to chat, you want to go over strategy. So a couple things I want to pre-frame before I give it over to Frank. And Frank, feel free to jump in as you go. Obviously, change is upon us, and it's being forced upon every single person on the planet here right now. But for MSPs, there is a real danger and a real opportunity. And I can tell you, I've been through stuff like this before. Well, I've not been through anything like this, but I've been through recessions. I've been through, I've run businesses through crashes, through all sorts of crazy stuff. I can tell you, if you're not taking massive action to market yourself to prospects and continue or ramp up your QBRs, I believe you should be touching base with your clients even more often now than ever. You're just waiting for disaster to strike. You're opening the door for huge problems. I love this that scene in Batman in The Dark Knight Rises where Selena Kyle tells Bruce Wayne a storm is coming. Things are changing. Things are going to change. You can't just live the way you were. After this is over, businesses are going to flock to new MSPs. They're going to be calling new MSPs. Maybe your clients are going to be doing this because they felt that they were underserved and not prepared for what just happened to them. People are looking for someone to blame. So I don't care if you have your clients 100% protected, if they're not comfortable with it, or even the littlest doubt creeps in. And I want you to think about how irrational people are right now. There is no toilet paper on the shelves in my town, in your town, in anywhere in this country right now, because everybody went out and bought toilet paper. We have no idea why they did it. You can, if you study psychology, some of the folks have been saying they did it because it was the one thing they could control. People have now a 6-month supply of toilet paper. It's irrational behavior, and that's what's happening. That's what's going to keep happening. And your clients are going to feel potentially that you have underserved them and unprepared. They are going to be flocking. And this is either a huge threat to you as an MSP, or it is a huge opportunity for you as an MSP, because they are going to either come to you or they're going to be going away from you. And if you're not proactive here, you're going to be done for. So we want not for that to happen to you. And I'll kind of back up. I do want to put an important capstone or important note to this, is that please don't feel like it's bad to market now. Marketing is not a bad word. It's never a dirty word. Marketing is communicating. Marketing is being able to effectively educate and communicate your community. Now, if you were trying to sell vacations right now, you're probably, doing something that's not going to happen. You guys are not like that. You guys are, MSPs are needed, important to a business's health. They need you, so they're going to lean on you. You shouldn't feel like you're taking advantage of anything by getting out there and being in the community. If I'm not an MSP, but if I was, I would be amping up the amount of my communication big time, because they want to hear from you. It's going to help them feel safe and secure, and it's going to protect you. It's going to protect them. It's good for everybody. So with that said, Frank, I don't know if you have anything before we move on to add to any of that.
Yeah, I think that, one thing that stood out to me when I was meeting with my team, we've been working from home since Monday. What we're well prepared. There are a lot of MSPs to work remote, and we were just saying how thankful and grateful we are that we are in an industry right now that's needed, right? I mean, I'm reading articles from restaurateurs in our town that have laid off hundreds of employees, if not thousands, in aggregate. Like beauty salons and a lot of businesses that are more physical in nature, are laying people off, and they're not working right now, and that's a huge crisis. I think the industry that we are in, we're very fortunate. There's an opportunity here, and to your point, it's not something you should feel guilty about. We're doing good work. We're not saving lives here per se, but we're kind of saving some businesses, and I think that it's important to market not in a way where it's like, hey, we know you're down and you've got no choices, so we're gonna price gouge you type of way, but in a helpful, resourceful way. And I think that's sort of the starting theme here, is that we're very fortunate. There's an opportunity here for us to help people. Sure, we're going to make money. Sure, we're going to make ourselves successful, but it's necessary. And it's like the guys who sells maybe masks, or the people who sell Purell. It's just the nature of their business, and they're in a good position right now, and I think we are as well.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to turn it over to Frank now, to get on the screen here, to talk about your story, because that's, I think, and this is why I wanted to do this. This was kind of my idea of coaxing Frank to do this and share his story, because it's kind of almost like he's come full circle, from how you changed your business, your MSP, and how Audit was created. This is where Audit was born, from a disaster, not as bad, not like what we're going through now. This is just incredibly unique what's happening here, but it's a disaster nonetheless. And I'll tell you what we're going to talk about after, as we go. We're going to also talk about how to ramp up QBRs and prospect meetings, even though you can't meet right now, even though you think you might not be able to. And I'm going to tell you, if you do one thing and walk away from this webinar with one thing, is you've got to amp up your communications. You cannot decide to not do QBRs because there's a disaster going on. Your clients may think, and they may tell you, oh, we're busy, we're crazy, we don't have time, but we're going to go over why that's important to press them, why they're going to be really thankful you did, and how to do these virtual, because you're probably going to have to do that, virtual QBRs, how to make them effective. We'll talk about our disaster preparedness category that we built for you, and answer questions and some other stuff. So Frank, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you at this point.
Sure, thanks, Mike. So I think the origin of this really goes back to Hurricane Sandy, which was a pretty bad, I think they actually called it a superstorm, but it was a hurricane that crossed pretty much right over the central part of New Jersey. I think it's 7 or 8 years now. It was 2012, it was October, so almost 8 years that this occurred. And I remember prior to that year, 2012, earlier in the year, I sat down and I was doing some business planning. And we never did break fix, so I never had that story of, oh yeah, I had to convert all my break fix clients over. When we started out, we were straight MSP, and our clients, the ones we provided support for, were only the ones who that whose environments we managed, maintain, and that were paying us money monthly. So that was our business model. It was pretty clean. It was pretty leveraged. However, I'm a big hockey fan. Gretzky said what made him great was that he went where the puck was going, not where it had been. And part of, I think, of being good at surviving in the IT industry is making sure that you're staying relevant and up to date on the technologies, and advising and clearly communicating that to your clients the whole way through. All right. So earlier that year, I start trying to figure out where things are going. And I said, everything's going to go towards the cloud. Up until that point, we sold a lot of small business servers. A lot of the environments were pretty similar. It's SonicWall firewalls, a pretty much closed environment with a small business server in-house, BDR, some of the security stuff, AV, the traditional stuff. And then, maybe one or two remote workers, on VPNs, Wi-Fi usually built into the firewall. So the environments are pretty neat and clean. They're easier to manage and maintain. But I said, things are going to start moving to the cloud, and I really want to start figuring out like what my strategy is, because I don't want to be the last MSP that's going to try to sell a server and then I go out of business one day. So I start looking around, and if you guys were around back then, you'll remember, and you know how the industry works, or you go to industry events, and there's always the new, I'll call it a shiny object, right? And as techies, we're kind of drawn to that. And I remember when I first started going to these events, probably 10 years ago, it was the shiny object was like, what RMM tool did you use, right? So everybody was jumping between Level and then Kaseya and ConnectWise and back and forth, whatever. And then there was BDR. Every time you walk down the hallway, all you could hear people would go, oh, BDR. What BDR is there? You have a BDR? It's BDR. And then all of a sudden, cloud popped up. And so the timing was pretty good because I was interested in this. So I start vetting. I start looking for somebody to partner with. I didn't want to build my own. We had pretty good skill set here, but I made a decision we weren't going to build it. So I wind up through a series of interviews with different vendors and discussions. I meet Brett Jaffe. Brett worked for OS33 at the time. This is not an OS33 commercial. It's just part of my story. And I decided to partner with those guys. They lined up with us for a lot of reasons. And so I partnered with them. I moved our company onto the cloud, at some point in 2012. And what I started to do was what Mike mentioned, was I started to do some marketing around cloud. Now, in 2012, everybody thought that if you moved stuff to the cloud, the Russians were going to steal your stuff. So the people who were early in that process, we were sort of made fun of by the traditional MSPs, right? So if you went, a client went to their MSP and said, hey, Two Rivers sent me some marketing material about the cloud, they'd go, oh, that's crazy, their stuff's all going to get stolen. And then that was the initial message there. But I decided I was going to stay that course because, again, I knew where the puck was going. So all of a sudden, Hurricane Sandy hits. And what became painfully obvious was that traditional managed services is terrible when it comes to business continuity, especially when it comes to no electricity, right? So again, just like we sit here today and we can't even imagine that we're sitting here practically quarantined to our houses. We couldn't think about power being out for like 10 days, right? Like the most people thought was, well, it'll come back on tomorrow, right? Well, after 2, 3, 5, 7 days, businesses really started to panic. They had no electricity. And it became, apparent that traditional managed services wasn't going to fill that need from business continuity, that you needed some kind of cloud component where the resources were not in your office, right? So the timing was just pretty good for me because I had clients which were like, I remember one was yelling at me. He summoned me to his office, took me 2 hours to drive there, which normally would be 20 minutes. And I finally get there, neither of us have slept, and he's yelling at me. He's pointing at his server. His server's dry. It was backed up. We powered it down. We unplugged it from the wall. We just have no electricity. And I'm saying, you need a generator. You don't, you called the wrong guy. But I saw the flaw in this plan. So when the power finally came back on, here's where the opportunity came about. And this is what Mike's talking about, was that my clients now, they didn't know exactly what the solution was that they needed, but what they knew was that they couldn't go through this again and take this kind of risk, right? So what they were really doing is validating what my claims were anyway to them. Was like, hey, we really should be concerned about business continuity, but nobody thought this was going to happen. This seemed like just a remote possibility that, it wouldn't happen in their lifetime. So they're coming to me now, and some of them are saying, listen, we need to be on the cloud like yesterday. Like, we heard what you said, well, let's do it. So those were easy sales for me, all right? They were kind of queued up. There was a need. Like, let's face it, when you go shopping for that generator the day before the hurricane, you'll spend a heck of a lot more than you will, a year later in the summertime when supply is plenty and there's no pending doom, right? So my clients were like, listen, we need to be in the cloud like yesterday. So I start putting clients on to the cloud platform, OS 33. And this is 2012 now, and I'm doing this at a time where this is not really the popular thing to do. There's a lot of cloud stuff popping up, but people really haven't totally embraced it. And I'll explain why in a minute. So we put a whole bunch of clients on in a short period of time, and I thought to myself, well, this is either going to go really well or really badly because we're all in on this. And I'm still here. I'm telling my story, so it went really well. And probably within about 3 years it took, we had moved like 90% of our clients up to that cloud platform. And a couple of things happened. One, it was the first time in my IT career that I actually thought I was making a real impact on somebody's business as to how it ran. Before that, it was like if I sold them a new server, it was like great, they just a new warranty on the server. But now I was changing how they did business, and people were like, "This is amazing! I can work anywhere. I can, be in Florida, and I can, do work from my office in New Jersey. It doesn't matter where we are." And they saw, how business continuity had changed. OS 33 also took notice, and they said, "How are you selling all this stuff?" I said, "Well, it's been pretty easy." Here's where the challenge came in: new sales, right? So I did pretty good with existing clients because I had marketed and I communicated and I did regular QBRs. But new sales, I started losing, and I started losing them based on price. And this is why a lot of MSPs had trouble and didn't really embrace the whole cloud revolution quite as much, is because of the money factor, right? Now, you have to remember, we were highly leveraged. I never did break fix. It was easy for me to transition to cloud. And here's what was weird. I was telling my client, go onto our cloud platform. You know what? At the end of the day, financially, they spent more and I made less. Okay. But that was the right thing to do. All right. Fighting that trend was futile because all it would have meant was I'd be the last guy selling servers that'd go out of business. So what I needed was a better way to sell to prospects because I had a great story and a great model and it worked. So when people would call us, they'd say, well, we have this cloud platform. So they looked at me sideways a little bit because they're still leery of cloud. And then when I would show them the price, which was more than what traditional services, managed services might have been, they would shy away and I would lose it. And that made me crazy. And that was what led to me. That was the exact moment I said, I'm not losing any more deals based on price because I can't explain the value of cloud to my clients and business continuity, disaster recovery. I'm going to do something. And that's when I created Audit. And Audit allowed me, using that simplified audit report, to show them the differences. I could say, sure, you're spending, $3,000 a month currently, but look at all the red and yellow, especially in areas that led to business continuity. Then I would show them, my proposal. Sure, it's $4,000, it's more, but look at all the green. And people automatically got it. So I think that's the story. But where it brings us to today is now there is another opportunity here because I think that cloud sort of came and went. It was weird. Not a lot of people embraced it. Sure, everybody sells Office 365, but we're talking about like true business continuity platforms. So my clients right now, 90% of them, I didn't have to do anything for because they're already in the cloud. They're used to working from wherever. Now, sure, we have a little bit of a rat race right now. There's some rank and file people who are now working from home for these businesses that never really worked from home. So we have to get them set up. But we're not trying to figure out what the solution is and go crazy. So we're talking to our clients. We're reminding them how great this technology is. I had one client, his father's a doctor. He's like, I goes, anything you need. He goes, I'll send you masks, whatever. We are so appreciative that you sold this years ago. And he was talking about, he and his partner were talking. And it made me feel really good. I mean, this is like Mike said, serious times right now. And it makes me feel really good that, what I did was important. Now, despite what I did, there is an opportunity. So where I was back then, with Sandy is where we all are right now. There is a big business continuity situation going on here. And if you're not talking to your prospects and clients about what they should be doing, somebody else is. If I don't have a good business continuity disaster recovery solution for my clients, you can be sure other MSPs are going to market to them right now. And shortly after, this whole thing clears up, and I would lose business. Now I'm confident that's not going to happen because our platform is really solid. But what we want to, do for you is to kind of show you how you can talk to your clients about, your solution, especially around this disaster preparedness concept. And also, how you can approach prospects right now. And like Mike said, you shouldn't feel bad that you're out there, trying to bring in business. You're doing good things. If you could save somebody's business next time, or keep them in business, that's a good thing. So kind of a long story. I think it's relevant. Mike asked me to tell that. And, hope it resonates with somebody.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. And I just want to underscore this. We hate to be. I hate to talk about, opportunity and things in such a time where people are suffering and struggling, but you have to take care of your business and you have to take care of your client's business. I mean, that's what we're in it for. You guys are in an industry where you are so needed, not just for the normal stuff, right? The day-to-day stuff, but when you look at it now, man, you are needed for your clients depend on you for their existence. Like if things go bad, they're counting on you now more than ever before. And I'm talking to a lot of MSPs. I know some people came on before, after I said this, I'm gonna say it again. You guys ever need somebody to talk to, I want you to reach out to me. I will jump on a call with you. Even if it's just to kind of, you're freaked out and you just want somebody to talk to, right? It doesn't have to be about business, but I'm here for you to help you with your sales process, to help you with your marketing, anything you need there. Let me know. I'm talking to MSPs the past week or so as this has been unfolding, and I want to tell you something that I've seen that's interesting and that you should know about. And I don't know the size of the MSPs who are on this call, right? So just looking at your names, I can't always tell like how big your MSP is, how many clients you have, how many employees. But I've been talking to small guys, big guys, medium guys, and girls. And the smaller MSPs are scared. They are backing off of marketing. They are, and I'm urging them to not do that, right? They're pulling things back. They're hunkering down, and that's the exact opposite of what they should be doing. The larger MSPs are not. They are doubling down. What they are doing, and what I'm hearing them say, is that this is the time when they're going to bring on a lot more business, because their current MSP that is serving a lot of these clients are going to lose, because they're not going to either serve them correctly, or the client will just think they're not serving them correctly. So I'm going to go through some more of my bullet points here. Your clients and community need you right now. You're here to serve. Don't think about this as opportunity or whatever. Don't opportunistic. You have to serve your community. You have to be loud. You have to speak. You have to educate. You have to warn these people. I'd be urging you to go into your social media and be warning them about all these freaking scams going on these days. The scammers taking advantage of this crisis. Talking to them, educating them, and making them feel confident that you're there for them. And that is why marketing right now is a must. So hopefully I banged that drum a bit. And again, I'm going to say that if you are not marketing now and planting the seeds, you're going to miss the opportunity that's coming towards you, and you're going to be caught up in a wave where clients are going to start leaving, because it's coming. I can tell you it's coming. It comes every time something like this happens, and this is a big one. This is the biggest one we've ever experienced. So again, QBRs, if you're not doing QBRs, this is the time to start. Quarterly business reviews. If you are doing quarterly business reviews, I'd step it up. I would quite frankly recommend calling your clients and hopefully you're doing this. I know some MSPs are doing this. So if you're doing this, kudos to you guys. I'm going to keep preaching to the choir, but I'm going to bang this drum, is that get on the phone, email your clients, ask them to do a virtual meeting. And we're going to talk a little bit about that here, how to run virtual presentations. They can be just as effective, if not more, than in-person presentations. The ideal way, and I'll come back to the disaster preparedness in a moment, but the ideal way to do a meeting with a prospect or client is face-to-face, right? That's always the way. But we are now all of a sudden all pushed into, our clients, us, everybody, a virtual economy. All of a sudden, everybody's on Zoom. So get on a Zoom call, set up a Zoom with a camera, educate them on how to operate the Zoom call. You want to be face-to-face so you can see them, if at all possible, and run your meeting the same exact way you would run a meeting in person. What I suggest you do is you print the audit, you generate the audit, and then send them the PDF as you're on the meeting, right? Don't send it to them in advance, send it to them as you're on the meeting. So I get on the meeting, get everything, do a little small talk, and then simply shoot them, hey, I'm going to shoot you the audit report now. If you could open it up and go to the 3rd page or the 4th page and start going over it with them at that point. Frank, anything to interject or discuss there?
No, I think that you know, what you're saying is exactly right. I think it's good to have some kind of communication. We set up a call for Monday for our clients just to, go over like what we're doing, how we've mobilized, we're reminding them how the technology is serving them, and just seeing if they have any questions. We want to make sure we're meeting the needs. We also have one of our, customer success people has been calling our clients individually, started with our largest client, and they're working their way down to the bottom. And they're just reaching out and just asking how they're doing. We just want to be, personal, not trying to sell anything. Say anything we do for you. And so we do want to do that. We don't want to be totally salesy in every aspect. We want them to, make sure they understand that we care about them and that, this is the real reason why we're touching base.
Awesome. So let's go into our disaster preparedness category. So just want to demo this for you in case you haven't seen this. We created this category because we feel that this may not be something you use now. It may be something you use now, but make no mistake, this is stuff like this is going to happen again, and we want to make sure you have this. This was an extreme scenario. Who knows what's going to happen in a week, in 2 weeks? They could all of a sudden lift this. It could come back. There's talk about it laying dormant for the summer and coming back in the fall. Who knows if this is the last we've seen of it? But you can bet, somewhere a tornado is going to rip through somewhere, or a hurricane. We're in, hurricane season comes, and the next disaster. It seems like more and more of these things are happening. So if you go into categories, you're going to see this disaster preparedness category. And this is what it looks like here. Frank, do you want to walk through this a bit?
Sure. So I think Mike talked about education, right? And the whole thing that audit does for you is it allows you to educate the prospect or client, in this case, kind of more prospect too. And it allows them to make buying decisions so they feel confident and comfortable in buying from you instead of feeling like they're being sold to. So what we did was we said, let's create a category. Let's try to simplify this because everybody now is, pretty hyper aware of what's happening. And this is going to be fresh in their mind going forward. And they're going, if they had any level of failure with technology, whether it was with you as your client or with some other MSP, and they are now your prospect, people are going to be looking for a change to do things better. So what you're going to want to do is get out in front of this. So we put together a category with 9 different items that we felt were important. A couple of them were already in the system. Few of them were new that we created, and we didn't put all the infographics in because we just put this together pretty quickly. But we did put all summary statements in there for you, so that way you can immediately start using it. And what we're recommending that you do is most of us are used to doing a 27-point audit. Well, we've always had that optional quadrant, the 4th quadrant, where you could put anything you want in there. Stick the disaster preparedness quadrant in there. And in there we have items, and some of the ones we put under here, like we moved workstations here because we've been used to basically saying, hey, you're running Windows 7, it's not supported, or hey, these computers are out of date. But what we're not really, what we hadn't really taken into account was, what about these home computers, right? Are they protected, right? So we want to be able to, say, hey, you're now working from a home computer. It's not on we're not monitoring it. It's not on our plan. We have no visibility into it. And this could be a cybersecurity concern. So we put some additional audit summary statements in here for you, so you can immediately point that out. One thing that we're doing at Two River Tech is, we're not making it mandatory, but we are strongly suggesting that you onboard your home computers, right? In the past, we never really pushed for that. But right now, what we don't want to do is, get on a bunch of home computers, do some hourly work and set them up, and then have no visibility into it, right? That is a recipe for disaster down the line. So we're telling our clients, let us onboard it for a fixed fee, which is what we've always done, and then you'll pay monthly. And then listen, if it's 3 months down the line and you decide, hey, I want to take my home machine or my secretary's home machine or the accountant's home machine off the plan, you can. I suspect people will leave it on there. So this is an increased revenue opportunity for us as an MSP, but you're doing a good thing. You're actually protecting their computers, so that way you're not just opening this up, so that way they're working from home on machines that we've never seen. So that's that's one here. I don't know, Mike, that you want me to go through every single one of these categories or audit items, but I think that there's enough good stuff here that it will allow you to start a discussion. And we all sell different things. This is certainly not a commercial to sell cloud, although it sure seems like cloud is helpful in this situation. But things like remote accessibility. I'm watching people now scramble, to set things up. Now is not a great time to figure out what you're selling, figure out what your solution is, and then start educating your prospects and clients around it. Two-factor authentication, probably, more critical now than ever, because you've got people logging in from all over the place. Corporate communications, business continuity insurance, although, unfortunately, a lot of insurance doesn't cover this because it's not a named peril, but they're still recommending you file a claim if if your prospect or client does that. You might find that the federal government or something gives some of the insurance carriers money to actually cover this. So that's been some of the advice that I have seen. But this is just good content for you to discuss with your prospect or client. And let's face it, you want to do it before somebody else does it, right? Because you want to be the ones that are at the forefront, to keep your business and potentially get some new business out of this.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how you folks end up using this. And one of the things I love about audit is, we've created this, Frank created this right out of his office, and this is something he planned on using for himself. So we're sharing it with the community, and obviously we think it's important, but we have kind of a use in mind for it, and we're going to give you our guidelines and what we suggest. But many times MSPs come back to me and they tell me, hey, we used it this way, or we did this with it, that I didn't kind of see coming. So it'll be interesting to see how this evolves. And you have if you have customization, you can actually add items. You can see that we only created 9 items here. So if you create more, let me know. I would always love the idea of little, those group strategies where we all get together and help each other. So if you find that you've got something that fits in this category that you find yourself adding that you think would benefit the rest of the community, please let me know, and we'll consider adding that for everybody to use.
Yep.
And,
there's another point I wanted to make too about your solutions and what you're selling. Obviously these audit items are going to lead back to to some type of solution that you're selling. Now's not the time as an MSP to start shedding solutions and tools that you have. You can't do addition through subtraction. Like Mike said, not just the big MSPs, but the ones that are success minded are moving forward and saying, listen, we are the ones that are equipped to help our clients and our prospects, especially, in the realm of technology, and help them keep their businesses running. If you, as the suppliers of that, start, getting rid of things, you're going to put yourself at a disadvantage. And what you're really doing is you're putting these great businesses at a disadvantage, because you're no longer going to be able to help them the way you normally would. So I would encourage you to stay the course. I mean, obviously, people are concerned about money and getting paid, but not don't get rid of your tools. It's like the fire department decides to throw out their ladders because they don't think they can afford it or not sure if they're going to use them. You definitely want to stay the course. There's an opportunity here for you to do really good work. And one of the mission statement of audit, right, was that we were elevating the quality of IT available to the SMB market space. And what I mean by that is that when I used to go into prospects and they'd say, "Oh yeah, we have an IT company," and I would look at like what was there. I mean, we all have seen this before. I used to take, and I still do. I take pictures of what I find. It's like a complete mess. And I say to myself, how can an MSP, another MSP, leave it like this? It's not like there aren't good solutions to sell. And clearly the prospect's looking to spend the money. It's just that for some reason they haven't been sold the right things. So it's likely because the MSP doesn't know how to sell, or is not doing something that makes selling easy. So who suffers in the end? The SMB suffers, right? If someone sold a small business the wrong solution, it didn't work in a time like this, shame on that MSP, because the business didn't know any better. They're following the advice. So again, I think now's the time to double down and get out there, and we can really do some good work for some really good businesses out there.
Yeah, great advice, Frank. Obviously people are being faced with some weird things right now, like, making payroll and paying their rent, paying their mortgage. So, but yeah, don't cut out your backup disaster recovery solution because, you're worried about what's going to happen. Take it one day at a time and get out there and make sure you're communicating with your clients for sure. I really highly recommend hammering those QBRs, really getting with them, making sure they're prepared, making sure and quite frankly, this is just helping them feel confident, feel comfortable. If somebody's underserved, they're probably going to leave you, but they're just as much at risk of leaving you if they feel underserved. So, and I want to underscore that many clients are going to be looking for, and businesses in general, are going to be looking for somebody to blame for all this, and they're going to be looking at where they're going to, how they can cut and how they can protect themselves, and worried that they're not protected. So if you're not communicating with them, you can bet some competitor is going to be. And just hang in there, guys. We're going to get through this. If anybody needs to talk through sales process, marketing process, I've been doing this a long time. I'm happy to lend an ear and give you consultation on anything, not just audit, but anything you have a question about, even if you just want to, talk about anything. And of course, I hope you all are healthy, and hopefully this passes us by very quickly. Anything to add, Frank? Let me make sure I didn't miss anything on our slides here. I think that's the end of the slideshow.
I think the point is like, you got to keep it simple, right? You don't want to complicate this. This is a good way to step into, especially for a prospect. One of the things we do on on the Two River site is, the call to action is request an assessment. It's all about that. We're in the process of changing the wording on our site now. Instead of what we have there, we're switching it over. Hang on here, I just have to look and see what we're changing it to. Technology solutions that guarantee business continuity and disaster recovery for your small business. Don't let a natural disaster get in the way of your success ever again. So that's the line. That's what's going to appeal to people. We're switching it up, and and then we're going to do the assessment. And what we'll likely do is, at a minimum, and even if it's free now for a while, offer a free 9-point disaster preparedness assessment. You could do this remotely if you had to, or in the weeks and months coming up, people are going to be receptive to hearing what we have to say. And keep it simple. Use this as some soup starter. There's going to be a lot of good opportunity to help businesses out there, and audit's a great tool for it. One thing we should mention is, a lot of vendors are getting behind audit now as well, because what they see is an opportunity to help their partners sell more of their stuff. One quick example, Mike, if you wouldn't mind, go to the audit items. I want to just point out something because I'd like to give a plug for our friends over at Huntress. So Mike and I were at an ID Agent Roadshow in Houston last week, and Huntress was one of the vendor sponsors along with Audit. And I, as an MSP, had been wanting to talk to Huntress because I wanted to to integrate that into our solution stack. I saw Kyle speak a few different times at Robin events and was pretty impressed. So we sat down and I signed up and we rolled it out. I think we have it on over 1,200 endpoints so far. And we spoke with his name's Jeremy. He's one of the partner managers. So what do you call this audit item? And do you remember what we put in here, Mike? I think it was.
I don't.
Boy. So search for capture.
Nope. Brand new. Yeah, it was.
Just go to the category of security and just look. It's in there. It is so new that I keep forgetting what he told me this is called, but I don't want to lose the point here.
Yeah, as soon as I see it, I'm gonna. There it is.
There it is. All right. So he said that this is what they call managed detection and response. That's the category that that they came up with. So we immediately added it into the system. We didn't add it into the master, means you don't have it, but I went in, I added one of their infographics that they have available into there, and I added some summary statements for myself. And I'm prepared right now to immediately, next time we start doing some business reviews with clients, I'm going to immediately put this on there and show them that we have that. And the real reason is that I don't want somebody else to do that to me and tell my client, oh, that you don't have any kind of managed detection or response. Huntress is working with us. We're going to create a generic infographic that everybody can use, and then we'll backfill some summary statements into the master so that way they're available. But this is just an example of how we're trying to stay relevant in the industry and on top of things. We're trying to make it easier for you to sell. So if you're using Huntress, this is a good opportunity. But more and more vendors now are expressing interest in audit because they're seeing the power of how to sell, right? And let's face it, if we can teach a bunch of MSPs how to sell their product, Huntress is happy because they're going to move product, right? And you guys are going to buy more agents from them, and and it's win-win-win because you win as an MSP, you made the sale. Huntress wins, they move more of their product. But who also wins, Mike? The end user, right? The small business who benefits from the fact that you sold that to them, right? They're safer and they're more protected. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there because I think that you're going to see more vendors starting to participate with us, and that'll lead to more content, and the system will become better and easier to use.
Cool. Well, thanks everybody. Unless there's any questions, we'll wrap up at this point. Thank you, Frank, for coming on and spending time with everybody. I know this was, I got a few comments here that these were good ideas, and thanks for sharing. So yeah, please get in touch with me. You guys, I'm pretty easy to get. My email is mike@audit4it.com. Feel free to reach out to me with any of your questions. Again, if you want to go through any of this, jump on a call. Happy to do that with you guys. And as you're going through the new category, let me know your feedback on that. Would love to hear what you guys have to think about it and how you're using it. And yeah, get out there and hit this hard. Protect your community. If somebody's not a client of yours, they are a potential client of yours, and you need to approach this as a professional thinking. If they're not protected by me, they're not protected, and that's the way I would be thinking if I was an MSP, and I would be evangelically going out there and getting as much as I can in front of people. So thanks for coming on, everybody. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Mike. Stay safe, everybody. I know it's crazy times here, but as everybody said, we will get through this, and I think we're doing good things. Our industry is going to help a lot of businesses, continue and/or stay on their feet. So, great job collectively, and again, stay safe. Thanks, Mike.
Have a great day, everybody.